One of the downsides to large language models, and I suppose we even have to almost say gargantuan language models, like
Yeah.
requires data centers of equipment to go ahead and run. Now, that's a great, wonderful thing, but it doesn't really fit on your phone. But there is a big quest to get models smaller, faster, lower energy, more precise, more specialized. Has an interesting side effect. Because these models are much simpler and the data distributions are more narrow that they're working with, both in the training data and the artifacts that they produce, it does make AI generation much easier to detect.
So I guess we've talked through some of the ways to find it, some of the watermarking, some of the advantages of knowing if it's generated from AI and whatever else. But what there must be limitations in the approaches that we have to detect things. What are the challenges that we're facing as we're entering this brave new world of trying to determine how do you know what you know?
Certainly the accuracy of detection techniques varies greatly. We mentioned one, like the size of the model you're detecting, the variability in the artifacts being generated. Right now, it kind of depends, right? And so as these models get more and more sophisticated, there is a problem with both false positives. Yes, this is AI generated, but lo and behold, it was human generated, and false negatives, right? No, this isn't generated by AI. Oh, yeah, it was. But you can imagine that as these tools get better and better and better, nefarious actors are going to try to come up with models that are more and more difficult to detect, or ways of circumventing digital watermarking. I mentioned that post-generation modifications, even if you did have a digital watermark in it, those can very easily be circumvented. One other thing right now is multimodality. So if I'm trying to, let's say, watermark a piece of text that goes along with a set of data that goes along with a video explaining it, getting the veracity of generation across all different modes of that particular artifact, that gets quite difficult. And even with text and speech spanning languages, there's an awful lot done on the internet in English. You can imagine there's an awful lot that's done in other languages too. So how does that translate? Right now,
Yeah.
these are kind of difficult problems.
Well, Mark, we talked about a lot today. We've talked about where it all came from, how do we find it, who's involved, what sort of regulations can we anticipate, and then what sort of happens when you want something that's custom for yourself. It's been a pretty interesting journey through this production of new content, and it's not all text. It's also images and voice, like you said, which is even more fascinating and possibly scary. And by the way, it's not all bad when we use AI for these things. I just saw an article that James Earl Jones, the voice of Darth Vader, wants to retire from that character and has licensed out his voice for subsequent use in other Star Wars things so that they can maintain consistency, but he doesn't have to do it for whatever reason. Why you would not want to do that, I don't know, but maybe
It's
it
the
looks
coolest
like
job in history. Come on.
if I sounded like him, I would be doing that until the cows came home. But
Oh,
that's not my call. I don't know. But
yeah.
so there are a lot of good things that come from it as well. It's not all bad actors. It's just that we tend to focus on the negatives because after all, we tend to see a lot of the worst things because we have such a focus
Yeah.
on our customers and their concerns around data integrity and security and everything else. So
Yeah.
thanks a lot for shedding a light on all this stuff for us here today.
It's good stuff.